How to do, y'all? Tables here. I just recorded about 17 minutes of footage, and I realized I was muted at the end, so that was kind of unfortunate. Okay, so update on the CoC League Starter project. We're level 80. Things are looking pretty good right now. A few changes on the build. I want to go over some things. We're rocking Frostbolt, Ice Nova, and Frostbomb to pretty much autopilot some extra DPS and our exposure on a Cost Breeze Malice. I decided against the Claw, mainly for the reliability and the ease and the laziness that Cost Breeze Malice gives us. Not to mention the extra crit and the flank Cold Dispel, which is fucking chef's kiss. This helmet we found kind of whatever. It's decent. It works. Rolled some really solid Eldritch implicits though. This was a drop. Bought this for like 6 chaos. These are today's prices. Okay. Keep that in mind. I bought this opal ring for like a chaos. Essence rolled it with a dex essence and hit something relatively decent. Or excuse me, not a dex essence, a cold damage essence. So that worked out really well. And usually by day 2, I already had non-channeling skills craft from Betrayal. So I went ahead and crafted that on both rings. I got this ring for about 11 chaos, I think. This was about 10C for our 6 link, kind of a dookie, hella dookie 6 link, but it's got good max life. Bought these for about 10 chaos, kind of whatever, implicits. Same goes for these. I crafted these on ROG. And this is just some random ass belt that I found. The gear is mediocre at best. And I don't even know if I would say mediocre is a good representation. It's probably worse than that, to be honest. But for a league start situation scenario, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. We also picked up this jewel for about 6 chaos. Not bad. Really has everything that we need. So if you remember in the last video, we talked about attack speed and thresholds and breakpoints for CoC. Now that we're not using a claw, that kind of goes by the wayside because we're losing a ton of attack speed, but we're also gaining it on our Cost Breeze Malice. You can you'll have to look at the POB and determine the way the tree is set up. 10% should be fine. We want to be below the breakpoint, anyways, to be safe from the server ticks and whatnot. So I went with 10%. You could probably go up to 11 or 12 and be just fine. But I leave that up to your discretion. And okay, so let's go over the jewels, or excuse me, the gems. Cost Breeze, great quality of life. Autopilot's extra DPS. Frostbolt, which also casts Ice Nova as it travels. Pretty amazing. Autopilot Frostbomb for our exposure. Primo. Herald of Ice, Precision, and Grace. Flame Dash with a level 5 Arcane Surge so that it's always popping off. Vortex, Frostbite, and Hex Touch. Now our curse is on autopilot with a Hypothermia. Kind of a whatever gem. I'm iffy about what I want to put here, but I'm thinking that it's going to end up being a 4-link blue. And then we have a Summon Skitterbots with Unbound Ailments. Ideally, you would want a Bone Chill in here, but that's going to kill your mana. So that's really not an option until you get to your in-game CoC build. As far as our crit and our hits 100%, mainly due to the fact that we've picked up a bunch of accuracy nodes. Not to mention this mastery right here, which is what ended up putting us at 100%. But you have to be careful to watch your decks, because when you do this, you're tying your extra accuracy to your decks. And so if you replace a piece of gear or you don't replace the decks, you might not be at 100% hit anymore. And as we all know, on the hierarchy of power progression on CoC, chance to hit is king. It is the very first priority that you should ever have. And then once you get 100% chance to hit, then you go for 100% melee crit. Then you go for 100% spell crit. That's the order. Always and forever. No questions asked. Don't question about it. That's what it is. So keep that in mind, because that's the way that we have the tree set up. I'm sitting at about almost 300 decks. We're at 100, 100%. 300 decks, not too much to ask for, but you will have to work in some intelligence to use the Cosprey's Malice. Okay, so another thing about flasks. We have, now that we have both of our channeling craft set up, with our all of our mana leash that we have set up, we are having zero issues with single target, and I've been having really no issues pretty much for like the last 6 or 7 levels. So you could put whatever you want here. If you want to put a sulfur, or you want to do like a phasing flask, the world's your oyster. Do whatever you want. But there is a non-negotiable, your diamond flask, 100% non-negotiable, and these are the mods it has to have. It has to have these mods. 30% chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. Gotta have it. There's no question about it. That is going to be your prefix. Suffix, increased critical strike chance during flask effect. This is what's going to get you to 100%, and it's what's going to give you that little bit of extra buffer just to be safe. Because if we're even a % off, we're losing like 50,000 damage, right? So that we can't have that happen. So be very mindful of your flask, boys. Very, very, very mindful of what you're rolling on your flask. And because we're 100% crit, this thing, it's always going. It's always going. Ideally for the Jade, you don't have to have this suffix if you don't want to. It's set up in a way that you only need the diamond. So I would do the same prefix as your diamond, chance to gain a charge on crit, and then increased evasion on your suffix during flask effect. And that's really going to help you become a lot more survivable. My goal with this was to take a level 1, level-less CoC, get to maps, be able to farm T10s or above, however far you can push reliably without constantly dying. And we definitely achieved that. I had a tier 10 map set up, ready and recorded. And I was like, kind of want to fuck around in the T16. So we ran a Crimson Temple and we fucking killed it. Legitimately just wiped fucking everything. Except some of the league mechanics. Right? I'll get to that in a second. I want to show you the POB real quick. Are like fully fleshed out. Are fully fleshed out. Everything optimized. A little over 1 million damage. 100% crit, 100% hit. Scaling cold damage. Scaling crit multi. All in a nice little tree. Nice little family. No clusters. No bullshit. I've already done my Uber lab to get Mistwalker. I would much rather have Mistwalker than I would opportunistic, but you can make that decision for yourself. Elusive is just so nice, and it's just so, it just feels good when you're mapping. You know what I mean? It feels proper. Some things that are non-negotiable: mana leech, health leech, or life leech, the reduced cost of mana skills, really nice. Power charge, can't get rid of that. This tree has been tested and optimized, and it feels really strong. This is a level 86 tree, and it should do you quite well for mid red tier maps. I don't necessarily think this is ready to be a full-on tier 16 farmer. It definitely needs some better upgrades and some better mods on the gear, and just some higher quality gearing, right? And then I think this would be more than fine. I would feel more comfortable doing T16s at about 1.8 million personally, but we were able to do it on 850,000 on a map that I rolled for my Zombie Mancer, and he's at 20 million damage, 20 million DPS. And we more or less blew through it. And that's partly because we're doing a ton of cold damage, a ton of chilling, and a ton of freezing. But with that said, I do have footage of the T16. You will see it. There's going to be some lag. There's going to be some deaths. But for the most part, we really just coasted right through it. with that said, the reason I don't think T16 is really going to be viable until you really start upgrading this particular aspect of the build, if you want to really take your farming a little bit further, or you could just stick with this and just, farm mid-tier red maps and just make your currency and then move on to your in-game build. It's however you want to do it. You're not going to really be able to take advantage of all the lead mechanics in T16, like say essences, for instance. And that's partly because the way the essences work on the Atlas is the more essences you have on an essence mob, the harder it's going to be. And some of those essence mobs are pretty gnarly. And they're almost unkillable for our build right now. We just don't have enough DPS. Our biggest defense is our offense. So if we're taking too long to kill, that gives them more chances to hit us, and we don't have any armor. All right, this is a almost a pure evasion and energy shield based build. And don't get me wrong, when we're blowing through T13s, T14s, it's easy breezy. Save for the occasional death, it's really not a big deal. And it performs quite well. But in T16s, when you're getting into like expedition farming and stuff like that, searing Exarch modifiers, it's going to start getting really hairy for you really quick, especially if you're not running any just basic cluster jewels to help you freeze mobs. I would caution you to be very careful in T16s as to not tank your experience and flatline you and plateau your build. And you're going to become frustrated. You're going to be annoyed. This build is really made for a specific purpose. For somebody that wants to league start CoC and farm for their in-game build without having to go through the effort of having one gear set for one build and then having to dump all that and then switch to something else when it can, like, why do that when we can do this seamlessly, right? So that's pretty much where I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to show the T16 footage as soon as I get done here. That's the POB. I'm going to leave it down in the description for you guys. For the most part, super happy with how this tree turned out and with how the build's performance is. I didn't think that we were going to be able to clear T16 maps. And we are, and that's really great. There's a lot of potential for this build in terms of getting you to a point where you can set up your in-game CoC build, and that's really exciting for me. Mainly because I just like running CoC. It's so much fun to play. And I don't have any interest in playing something else just to eventually play CoC at level 90, right? No, fuck all that shit. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it my way. This is my way. So you guys will see when you see the T16 video. Very happy with it. And yeah, that's it. One thing I almost forgot to mention. I'm glad that I remembered. Your Pantheons, okay? Burning Ground. If you're not taking this, you're weird. Okay? Burning Ground sucks. You'll be immune and you get more movement speed. Take it. It's too good. Now, you can go a couple of different ways on your major. The way I'm going right now, mainly because I'm a strongbox farmer and I love strongboxes and shrines and all that shit. We're not running Chayula because we're not like low life or we're not CI, right? So we're like a more or less a life-based character. And I don't want to reduce my health. That doesn't make any sense. So we really need to be frozen immune, mainly for the strong boxes, because 6 or 7 times out of 10 that strong box is going to freeze you, and it doesn't really matter how much evasion you have. You're going to get dicked, and you're going to die, and you're going to be like, son of a bitch. Do yourself a favor, and don't wait as long as I did. Do your T6 Atoll, or whatever it's going to be next league. Hopefully nothing changes on the build, which it probably will because it's CoC. Do your Atoll. Get your frozen, get your immune to frozen, and then if you really want to cap that off, find yourself a pair of boots that has the mods that you need, resist, life, etc. And craft yourself on 19% movement speed and immune to chill, you'll be immune to chill, immune to frozen, and both of those things being immune is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Especially chill, because that lowers our attack speed, and then we do less damage, and it's just all around not a great time. I haven't done it yet because I haven't found a pair of boots that is reasonably priced for me to really want to spend the money to do that. So I just kind of roll with the punches. You do you. And then another caveat, well, not a caveat, but another warning about doing maps, and I don't care what tier of maps you're in. Projectiles are pretty much the worst thing imaginable for you, at least as far as I've seen with this build. And certain lightning rare packs and rare monsters who have those little like lightning dudes who just like walk around and like heat seek on you and then explode. Yeah, those suck, right? Because we're required to be in melee, and so they'll follow you and they'll fuck you up, right? Because we don't have any spell suppression, right? So we're really relying on our evasion and our chill and our freeze from our Ice Nova to really do the job. That's why it is so important for you to deal enough damage to where they don't have a chance to fuck you up, right? Our best defense is our offense. Everything else in defense-wise that we have is just icing on the cake, okay? So, yeah, projectiles, we don't really have a meaningful way to get rid of them. And if you're charging into a pack, you're just going to face tank them. If you don't flame dash like at the right time and miss them, you're pretty much going to die. And it kind of sucks. But with enough finesse, it is possible to dodge. It's not that big a deal. Not every map has this issue. If you want, you can just avoid those mods altogether, especially chaining. But that's up to you. Or alternatively, you can craft Cannot Be Frozen and just deal with the chill and just move your major to Soul of Lunaris and pick up avoid projectiles that have chained. That will help you immensely, plus the 10% chance to avoid projectiles, which is really quite nice. And, you know, really all of Lunaris is pretty much amazing. So, like I said, it's up to you to make that decision. I leave that in your hands. I'm also leaving you guys for the evening. Really excited about this. I'm going to keep plugging away on this guy and trying to push him as far as I can so that by the time we're ready to do a guide, I can be confident that anyone can take this build and farm up for their in-game CoC, right? So I'm super excited about this. And I know these videos are like hellaciously long. So anyone that's like liked it or watched it or even like watched segments, like, you know, it means a lot to me that you guys are here and following this project. You know, it's not like super popular. I don't have like a huge channel or anything. I'm like a nobody. But the fact that you guys are here and even participating in some fashion, you guys are absolute G's. So thank you so much. Of course, if you like this video, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. If you want to see more stuff like this, more content like this, let me know in the comments and I shall accommodate. Y'all be good. Have a good rest of your weekend. T16 coming up. Y'all be good.